Hello everybody, so I have here the Regenyei Tournament Saber, and I've used this for roughly a year, so I have a good experience with this saber in itself, and I want to give you my review on it. Off the bat, this costs €255 from the website, and the shipping price varies, but is roughly about €40. But that, again, it depends where you are in the globe. And that's an okay price. It's absolutely fine. Pretty standard for what you get in terms of the quality. Yeah. The base price, the weight of the sword is, for this one, is 815 grams, which is nice. It's a nice and nimble weight. And I think the website says I have here written down, I might have this wrong, but it says 910, give or take 10 grams, but this is 815, so maybe a typo there, maybe me make a mistake, but this one here weighs 815 grams. Let's just double check that again. Yeah, 815 grams. So anyway, let's move on from there. Spine of the blade is 5mm, and it does taper out to probably about 2mm, roughly around that sort of area. So we've got a nice distal taper, and it does have a slight transition in size going throughout the width of the blade. Yeah, the blade length is 85 centimeters. Yeah, 85 centimeters is fine. Perfectly good for Wessex League. And the grip itself, might be have a little trouble measuring the grip length, but is roughly 13 centimeters, and if you want to include the bolt that goes on the end, it's 15 centimeters. Okay, so overall length is 100 and roughly 101.5-ish, give or take a little bit. 102, yeah, about there. So the lengthwise is fine. Yeah, pretty standard across all the sort of training type sabers. Of course, sabers in themselves, especially this kind, which is probably more of a late 19th century look, is, yeah, fairly standard, but there is a broad width of length. Of course, infantry and cavalry sabers, very different. But moving on from there, I want to talk about this sword in itself. The design of it, I really like. There's not many other sabers on the market that have this kind of nice finish to it in terms of the guard itself, with all those holes, and I reckon they're laser cut, and then it's worked to form this really nice looking guard, and it is a really solid guard, quite thick material, and can take some fairly heavy parries. I've felt that the Matt Easton sword gets bashed up, and because it's a smooth surface, it gets dented and knocked, and someone who's quite a visual person, I don't like looking at something like that, so this holds up really nice, and I've got no dents, no scrapes or anything like that. It just needs an occasional clean. The blade itself has held up great. I've got a few burrs here and there, but it's okay. I do think that this blade in itself is inferior to the Corvette and Matt Easton blade. I do feel that the Matt Easton blade is better. I don't know about the Siggy sabers or any other sabers on the market. My experience is with the Mattiston Saber from Coveton and this Regenyei. Yeah. But the bend is good in terms of the flexibility. Yeah. So we've got plenty of flex in the last third, a bit of flex in the second third or the mid portion of the blade, and then it's nice and stiff right on this first third here. So it flexes just how it should. It's nice and safe in the thrust. However, it is good and stiff. There's no wibbly wobbliness. I have this with a lot of have this experience with a lot of other swords where you can do that and you can feel the presence of the tip of the blade starting to flap about. The lighter type sabers you can get do that, and it's a bit off-putting. You want something that stays stiff when you move it around, and this stays true. And it's great, and it's really good for the parries because it's nice and strong on the fort of the blade, and it's still quite stiff on the foible, but again it's nice and safe in the thrust. We also have here a rolled tip, which I prefer personally, rather than the the spatulated or thicker type ends. I just think they're safer, and for me, I feel a bit, if I thrust somebody with a spatulated tip, I have experience with actually hurting people, and yeah, I'd rather keep to rolled tips personally. The grip, fantastic shaped grip. The actual size of the guard is plenty to hold most gloves. I stick to Red Dragon, and I'll show you in a moment. But the actual ergonomics of the blade, you can grip it really well. Thumb up the back, that's certainly possible. You can have thumb on the side. Hammer grip, saber grip, it's perfectly fine. This has got the standard grip length that you would find in most sabers throughout the 19th century. Yeah. And into the early 20th century, but early 20th century blades, the grip starts to become quite large. But so these are good for good size for training. Doesn't bulge out too much. Doesn't look bad. There's some guards that really bulge out, especially with some side swords. They're meant to be compatible for some of the larger gloves, but this is a nice size. It's fairly standard from my experience anyway. So wearing gloves, here I always wear an underlay glove, and then I have two options: lacrosse or the Red Dragon. Yeah, so I have used these lacrosse gloves before. They're absolutely fine. They're a bit more smaller and tighter for the hand, but it does give you a lot of options in terms of nice fit and nice dexterity of the fingers. So it is nice and snug, fits in just nice, and feels good in the hand. Nice presence, and I can do all the guards that I do with the Hutton, which is personally what I have learned is Hutton, and yeah, feels good. The shape of the grip itself, there's no sort of indentation that you usually see, or a back strap for a thumb placer, but you can certainly do that. The sides of the grip are nice and flat, giving you good edge alignment, so that's good. So let's just take this lacrosse glove off, and I'll show you what it looks like with the Red Dragon. I don't use mittens. I just think that it's unnecessary, and it's too much protection, and you get less of a presence of the grip. So that's what it looks like with the red dragons. Just bear in mind that I've taken the back strap thingamadoo that's got the logo on it. I think they're unnecessary on these gloves, but it's a giant logo, and you lose a lot of flexibility in the wrist, so I've taken that off. Anyway, regarding the sword itself, yes, I've got plenty of presence whilst gripping it with this type of glove. I'll show you on the other side. Again, nice, snug, plenty of room, and lots of movement. I can do all the guards, do all the cuts, Milanese, whatever you want to do with Saber, whatever style you want to do with Saber, you can do it with this. So it's a nice overall look. I also always wear my forearm protection, and I also always wear elbow shells or elbow cops, because receiving a cut like this on the elbow, it hurts. So definitely wear hard protection on your joints. So regarding actually sparring with this, it's great, absolutely fine. You can do all the things you can do. I have some footage of me and Luke. We both have the same Saber, so you know, we do land hits on each other just fine. We've both got the same sort of experience. I've just had a few classes with Pedro San Miguel, and his lessons are good. So definitely go to Schola Gladiatoria and learn some of Pedro's lessons, because they are fantastic. I also learned from a guy called Yarek. I'll put his link in the description below, because he's got some great tournament footage. But I learned a lot of my Saber from him, and a lot of advice. So that's where I've learnt most of my Saber from. That, and just generally reading Hutton's manuals. But anyway, this Regenyei Saber is great for a starter, somebody who gets into Saber. Again, the price is fine. I would say that if you're going to get this from the website, it's 6 months to create this sword, which is quite some time. So just bear that in mind. If there's some in stock already, then go for it, you know. Just bear in mind that the guard design does change every now and then. It does say it's variable, so you might not have one that's exactly the same as this, but you will get the same sort of sword. The guard just might change up a little bit in design. Yeah. Also, I have some more stats here regarding the hardness. Rockwell is 49 to 41, which is pretty good. Yeah, absolutely fine. I've had no bends, and I've thrusted people, and this goes to 90 degrees just like that, and it remains true. No bends, no issues there. Yeah. The type of steel is a spring steel, of course, otherwise I'd have loads of issues. So would everybody else who buys this sword. The type of steel is 51 CRV4. So that is the type of steel they use in the blade. I'm not sure whether that's the same steel used in this guard and the bolt. Oh yeah, regarding the bolt, I have only had to tighten this up twice in the past year, and that's really good, considering that I use this at least once a week, maybe 2 times a week. So it's gone through quite a lot in the past year. I haven't done any tournaments with this Saber yet, but I've certainly gone against people that do tournaments in Saber, and the kind of hits and cuts they do, it's just the same. So there's no sort of light sparring I do. I do it as if it was in a tournament situation. So that's good. So yeah, I'll conclude there. Plenty of good things to say about this sword. Hopefully in the future I'll have some more Sabers that I can review. But at the moment I am very much happy with this Saber. It served me really well so far, and that's after a year of using this every week, at least once or twice, you know. So it's held up great, and I very much recommend it. So I'll leave it there, and I shall see you guys on the next one. Cheers, folks.